Everything changes when truth stops being clear. Episode 5 of Reasonable Doubt Season 3 is that turning point, the moment where every look, every word, and every choice feels like it could shatter someone's life. This isn't just another courtroom drama. It's a game of survival built on lies, love, and loyalty. And tonight's episode, it just pulled the rug from under everyone. Episode 5 doesn't start with chaos. It begins with quiet tension, the kind that tells you something big is coming. The city feels different, colder somehow. Jax stands at the edge of her choices, still holding onto the fragments of control she believes she has. But you can see it in her eyes, that mix of fear and defiance. She's trying to balance her life as a lawyer, a mother, and a woman whose heart has been bruised more times than she ever admit. The opening moments build slowly, but every conversation carries a hidden weight. Each word spoken in the courtroom sounds like it's echoing with guilt. Her colleagues sense it too, something in the air that feels off. A case that seemed straightforward now feels like a trap, a setup waiting to explode. The tension between Jax and the people closest to her grows sharper, not because of open conflict, but because of the silences between them. Those moments when no one speaks, but everyone knows something's wrong. It's in the small glances, the hesitant pauses, the quiet doubts that start to eat away at their trust. And that's where this episode shines. It doesn't rush. It lets the pressure build slowly, like a kettle left on the stove too long. You don't see the explosion yet, but you can feel the steam rising. The writing draws you in without shouting. It whispers. The show reminds us that real suspense doesn't need loud music or jump scares. It lives in hesitation. In the moments people don't say what they truly mean. There's a scene midway through the first act that captures this perfectly. Jax sits alone in her office, looking at old case files. Her reflections float between two glass panes, one clear, one blurred. That image says everything. One part of her still knows who she is. The other side is fading into confusion and guilt. You can almost feel her questioning every decision that led her here. Is she doing the right thing? Or just trying to protect herself from the fallout that's coming? Then comes the phone call, short, cold, and loaded with secrets. A voice she thought she could trust tells her something that changes the entire direction of the case. Suddenly, the floor under her confidence begins to crack. This isn't about justice anymore. It's about survival. The brilliance of this episode lies in how it plays with perception. It makes you doubt everyone. One moment, you're sure you know who's lying. The next, you're not even sure if Jax herself knows what's true anymore. It's that emotional uncertainty that hooks you in. You stop watching for answers. You start watching for reactions. And right when it feels like the storm is about to break, the scene cuts, leaving you hanging in silence. Heartbeat racing, eyes fixed on the screen. You realize this episode isn't just telling a story. It's testing your faith in the characters you thought you knew. It's asking, how much truth do you need before you start to doubt everything? Everything that was calm in the first half of the episode starts to rot from the inside here. The silence that once felt protective now becomes heavy, suffocating. Jax walks through her world like someone trapped in glass. Everyone can see her. Everyone can talk to her. But no one truly reaches her. You start to realize that the courtroom battles were never the real war. The real fight is happening inside her mind, where guilt and doubt have started clawing at her every thought. This part of the episode slows down again. Not because it's dull, but because the show wants you to feel the pressure. It lingers on small details. The way Jax's hands tremble when she picks up a cup of coffee, the half-second delay before she answers a question, the way her eyes drift away from people she once trusted. It's not overacted. It's human. You can tell she's holding too many secrets, trying to keep them from spilling out in front of the wrong person. A powerful scene comes when she's talking to Damon. The lighting is dim, soft enough that you can barely see their faces, just their outlines. It's as if the camera itself doesn't want to show the truth. Their conversation starts calm, about the case, about the witness who changed their testimony. But under every word, there's another meaning, one that both of them understand but refuse to name. Damon leans forward, voice low, eyes steady. He says something simple. You think truth saves people. It doesn't. It just exposes what they're too scared to hide. That line hits like a hammer. Because for the first time, Jax doesn't argue. She just stares at him. And in that silence, the audience knows he's not wrong. From that point, the tone shifts. The show starts layering tension in ways that don't need violence or shouting. It's the way Jax checks her phone every few minutes, the way her assistant hesitates before handing her documents, the way a friendly smile suddenly feels fake. Everyone's motives blur. The case that once seemed like a matter of justice now feels like a maze built to trap her. She's no longer chasing truth. She's being hunted by it. There's another moment that stands out, Jax in the elevator, alone, late at night. The metal walls reflect her from every angle, like she's surrounded by copies of herself. Each reflection looks slightly different, one scared, one angry, one exhausted. The sound design amplifies her heartbeat, the echo of the elevator's movement, the mechanical hum growing louder and louder until it feels unbearable. Then the doors open, and standing there is someone she didn't expect to see, a figure from her past who knows too much. The look on her face says everything. The past has finally caught up. This episode doesn't hand over explanations. It trusts you to read the cracks. It's about how people break slowly, not all at once, but through small betrayals, quiet disappointments, and choices made under pressure. You see Jax start questioning her own motives. Is she fighting for justice or trying to bury something? Every time she gets close to the truth, the show pulls her back into doubt. That's where the writing becomes brilliant. It turns truth into poison. As the episode moves into its middle act, the tension spreads beyond Jax. Her allies begin to question her judgment. The lines between right and wrong blur so completely that even the viewer isn't sure what side to take. It's no longer about heroes and villains. It's about flawed people trying to survive in a system that eats its own. The courtroom scenes feel colder now. Every question sounds like an accusation. Every victory feels hollow. And still, the show never loses its rhythm. The music grows quieter, replaced by long pauses and heavy breathing. You start to realize this isn't a story about one case. It's a story about the price of truth, what it takes from the people who chase it, and how it changes them. Jax is unraveling, but she's doing it with grace. And that's what makes it haunting. By the end of this section, one thing becomes clear. The show isn't just telling us what happens. It's showing us what it feels like to lose control of your own life. The reasonable doubt isn't just in the courtroom. It's inside every character's mind, clouding every judgment, twisting every intention. The masks are starting to crack, and the truth underneath isn't just ugly, it's dangerous. There's a kind of silence that doesn't calm you. It makes your skin crawl. That's how this part of episode 5 begins, not with a bang, but with the quiet after someone finally admits a truth they shouldn't have. Jax's world doesn't explode right away. It unravels piece by piece, like a thread being pulled from the edge of a tightly woven life. You can almost feel her losing grip on the world she built. One decision, one lie, one withheld truth at a time. The courtroom scenes now feel like a battlefield. No raised voices, no chaos, just sharp words disguised as politeness. Every lawyer, every witness carries a weapon behind their calm expressions. The camera lingers on Jax's face, showing that familiar look of control she's famous for. But this time, it's an act. Her confidence is cracked, and for the first time this season, she looks scared, not of losing the case, but of losing herself. The audience knows something she doesn't say out loud. She's fighting ghosts now. And not all of them belong to her clients. The most chilling moment of the episode comes when Jax receives a message, short, almost meaningless at first glance. Just a few words that freeze her in place. Her expression doesn't change much, but her eyes give her away. She reads it again and again, as if the letters might rearrange themselves into something less terrifying. It's from someone who shouldn't know what they know. Someone who's been watching. That's when the paranoia starts to crawl into the story like a shadow you can't shake. From there, every scene feels heavier. The colors look colder, the spaces emptier. Even the daylight seems hostile, revealing too much. The show's brilliance lies in how it turns normal moments, a phone ringing, a door closing, footsteps in a hallway, into symbols of fear. You start to feel what Jax feels, that constant pressure, the weight of every secret she's trying to keep buried. She meets with Lewis, hoping for clarity, but all she gets is another layer of confusion. Their conversation is civil, but every sentence feels like a test. He asks about the case, but what he really wants to know is if she's hiding something from him. She says no, but the hesitation before her answer says otherwise. The space between them becomes a battlefield of its own, one filled with old wounds and unspoken accusations. It's love, but it's also war. Halfway through the scene, Jax's voice cracks ever so slightly. It's small, almost unnoticeable, but it's the most honest moment of the episode. She's exhausted, not just from the fight outside, but from the one raging inside her. The show doesn't need to explain it. You just know. This is a woman who's been strong for too long, and strength has stopped being her shield. It's become her prison. Then comes a turning point, the scene that flips everything upside down. Jax confronts the person she believes betrayed her. It's dark, shot in shadows, the dialogue tight and raw. She wants the truth, but when she gets it, she doesn't know what to do with it. The betrayal isn't simple. It's rooted in love, fear, and survival. The kind that makes you wonder whether anyone in this show is purely good or purely bad. The writing here is surgical. No unnecessary words. Just emotion laid bare like an open wound. You can feel the shift in her eyes, something in her breaks, quietly. She realizes that truth isn't the light she thought it was. It's fire. It burns everything it touches, including her own sense of self. She walks away from that confrontation slower than she came in, shoulders low, steps uncertain. She doesn't cry. She doesn't shout. She just breathes heavily, as if the air itself has turned too thick to move through. That's how you know she's truly shaken, not by fear, but by the loss of certainty. The episode uses this collapse beautifully. The score fades to almost nothing, replaced by the faint hum of street noise and wind. The world feels too real, too unforgiving. Jax starts to doubt even the ground she walks on. Was she manipulated? Did she let her emotions cloud her logic? Every case she's ever won now feels like a lie she told herself to stay sane. By the time this section ends, you understand what makes this episode so powerful. It's not about what's said, but about what's felt. The fear, the shame, the realization that truth doesn't heal its scars. Jax is no longer the woman we met in episode 1. She's changed, not in a loud, cinematic way, but in the quiet way people change when life starts pulling the truth out of them one painful piece at a time. This part of the story leaves you uneasy. You're not sure what's coming next, but you know it won't be mercy. The walls are closing in, the lies are turning against their owners, and every character is starting to see the cost of what they've done. Jax stands at the center of it all, fragile, furious, and more human than ever. It's strange how silence can feel louder than screams. That's how episode 5 begins its final descent, in stillness so sharp it hurts. Jax stands in her kitchen, half in shadow, half in light. The morning sun sneaks in through the blinds, cutting her face into two sides, the one she shows the world, and the one that's breaking beneath the surface. Her phone buzzes again, the same message she's been avoiding all night flashing on the screen. She doesn't answer. She just watches it light up, fade, light up again, like a pulse she can't ignore. It's a haunting rhythm, the sound of consequences catching up. By now, the weight of every lie, every hidden truth, sits heavy in the air. The episode slows down, letting us breathe in the wreckage of Jax's choices. You can feel her exhaustion, not the kind that sleep fixes, but the kind that comes when your soul is tired of pretending. She's spent the entire season fighting for control, but now it's slipping away like water through her fingers. The people around her are no longer allies or enemies. They're mirrors reflecting the parts of herself she doesn't want to see. The story builds toward one final confrontation. Not the kind with raised voices or broken glass, but the kind where words cut deeper than any weapon. Jax enters the courtroom knowing this case will define everything: her career, her relationships, her reputation. The room feels colder today, the lighting harsher. Even the wooden benches seem to creak louder, as if the whole place can sense that something irreversible is about to happen. She delivers her arguments with precision, her voice steady, her face unreadable. But inside, the cracks are showing. Her logic is sharp, but her eyes betray something else: guilt, fear, maybe even regret. The opposing lawyer, who's been waiting for this moment, sees it too. The way he tilts his head, the smirk that flickers at the corner of his mouth. He knows she's not just defending a client. She's defending herself. Every statement she makes feels like a confession wrapped in professional language. Then it happens. A revelation. One small piece of evidence that changes everything. It's the kind of twist that makes you lean forward, your heart pounding, realizing you missed it all along. A document, a recording, a name, something so simple yet so devastating. Jax's entire argument collapses in seconds. The camera doesn't move. It just stays on her face as the truth lands like a blade. She doesn't flinch, doesn't cry, doesn't speak. She just stares ahead, the air gone from her lungs. That's the brilliance of this show. It doesn't need explosions. It uses silence as a weapon. After the courtroom scene, the show gives us a quiet aftermath. Jax walks out into the hallway, her heels clicking against the tile, echoing like a countdown. Her phone rings again, but she doesn't answer. Outside, it's raining, of course it is. The kind of slow, heavy rain that feels personal, like the sky is grieving with her. She steps out into it, doesn't bother with an umbrella. Her hair gets soaked, her makeup smudges, but she doesn't care anymore. For the first time in the entire season, she looks broken, but free. Because sometimes losing control is the only way to see the truth clearly. The rain becomes a symbol, washing away illusions, washing away the masks everyone wears. The show uses this moment beautifully, cutting between Jax standing in the storm and flashbacks of everything that led her here. Every lie she told, every choice she justified, every moment she tried to convince herself she was doing the right thing. It all plays back like a silent confession, one that no one else will ever hear. Then comes the final scene, the calm after emotional chaos. Jax sits in her car, drenched, staring at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Her eyes are red, but not from tears. They're red from clarity. She whispers something, maybe to herself, maybe to the ghost of the person she used to be. We can't hear the words, but we don't need to. The pain on her face says everything. She's not the same woman anymore. She's crossed a line that can't be UNCRS SED. As the camera slowly pulls back, the rain softens, and the episode fades out to the soft hum of city traffic. No dramatic music. No resolution. Just the uncomfortable quiet that comes after the truth finally surfaces. The title card appears, Reasonable Doubt, and for the first time, the words feel heavier, truer. Because now, it's not about the case anymore. It's about the cost of knowing too much. Episode 5 doesn't end with answers. It ends with uncertainty. It asks you to sit in that space between guilt and innocence, truth and deception. It reminds you that everyone, no matter how confident or composed, is one secret away from falling apart. Jax's story isn't finished. It's just entering a darker, more honest phase. You don't walk away from this episode with closure. You walk away with questions that cling to you long after the credits roll. And that's what makes this show brilliant. It's not about proving who's right or wrong. It's about showing how fragile the truth really is, how easily it bends, how quietly it destroys, and how desperately we all cling to the pieces that make us feel safe.